The views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the individual speakers and do not necessarily reflect or represent the views and opinions of this station.
Welcome to the Dayton Unit NAACP's 70th Annual Freedom Fund Awards Special, Moving Forward by Design. I'm 2 News anchor Aaliyah Williamson.
And I'm 2 News reporter Kiana Deiches. Founded in 1915, the Dayton Unit NAACP is the oldest and largest civil and human rights organization in the Dayton region. The mission, as we know, is to ensure the political, educational, social, and economic quality of rights of all persons and to eliminate racial hatred and racial discrimination.
The Dayton NAACP's vision is to fulfill the dream of the Civil Rights Act of 1964 by capitalizing on the second A of the NAACP, which stands for advancement. Each year, the Dayton NAACP holds this annual Freedom Fund Awards to honor those who work towards that mission to achieve equality of rights, eliminate prejudice, and remove barriers of racial discrimination.
Although this special event is usually held in person, due to the ongoing pandemic, WDTN and WBDT is proud to bring you the event over our airwaves and safely honor many local residents who continue to fight for social justice for all Americans. We begin with the Honorable Lou Dale, the Dayton Unit NAACP Freedom Fund Chair.
Good morning. Welcome to the Dayton Unit NAACP 70th Annual Freedom Fund Awards. Stay tuned for an exciting, exuberant, and informational awards show that you don't want to miss. Our theme is titled Moving Forward by Design. The Dayton NAACP is always on the move, still working in the community, serving and helping people, even during this COVID-19 pandemic. We are very excited to have as our keynote speaker the prestigious and renowned Rabbi Jonah Dov Pesner, Director of the Religious Action Center of Reform Judaism and Senior Vice President of the Union for Reform Judaism. Our honorary chairs are the illustrious Mr. Joe Appleseed, President and General Manager of WDTN TV Channel 2, and the Honorable and prestigious Mr. Michael M. Parks, President of the Dayton Foundation. Gentlemen, thank you for your support. We were contemplating interacting with you physically in person this year, but that idea was intercepted by a rise in COVID-19 cases and now the Delta variant. The Freedom Fund Awards is the main source of funding for the Dayton NAACP. We need you to continue to financially support our organization so that we may continue to service community needs. Thank you to all supporters, from honorary chairs, corporations, organizations, and individuals alike. It all counts. Stay tuned for the rest of our dynamic program.
Hi, this is Dayton Mayor Nan Whaley, and I'm so proud to be part of the 70th Annual Freedom Fund Awards ceremony. Congratulations to President Derek Forward and all the members of the Dayton unit of the NAACP who worked diligently to ensure equity and racial justice in the Dayton region. In the wake of the George Floyd murder, both the Dayton unit NAACP and the City of Dayton acted with a sense of urgency to address police reform in our communities. The Dayton Unit NAACP created an 8-point plan and convened around 20 law enforcement agencies in the Dayton region to implement their reforms. Additionally, the City of Dayton created 5 working groups to address police reform in Dayton. Leadership from the Dayton Unit NAACP were in the working groups, and they were integral to the success of the recommendations. I'm proud of all the hard work the Dayton Unit NAACP members do to make their voices heard and bring positive change into our community. Similarly, we all have the chance to make our voices heard this November by voting. Whether you vote early at the Board of Elections, vote by mail, or vote in person the day of, please plan to vote this November 2nd. Now more than ever, it is important to exercise our right to vote. We're counting on you to make a difference.
Hello, I'm Montgomery County Commissioner Debbie Lieberman.
And I'm Montgomery County Commissioner Carolyn Rice.
We are delighted to welcome you to the NAACP Freedom Fund Awards. It is so important to recognize local civil rights leaders, trailblazers in our community, for all the work they do to improve the educational, social, and economic outcomes of people in the region. You each make our county a better place, and your resolve in the pursuit of equity sets a great example for all young and old in our community. To those we honor during this awards event, thank you for leading the way as we keep moving forward by design.
Now enjoy the show, and congratulations to all the honorees. And just a reminder to vote on November 2nd so that your voice is heard. And please vote in support of Montgomery County's Human Services Levy.
The Dayton NAACP was founded in 1915. It is the oldest and largest nonpartisan civil rights organizations. For over 100 years, the Dayton NAACP has been on the front lines informing, educating, and empowering the citizens of Dayton and those around the state of Ohio. With every new day comes a new set of challenges, and the NAACP has worked tirelessly to ensure the political, educational, social, and economic equality of rights of all people and to eliminate race-based discrimination. As you have seen in the news, the right to vote is under attack. State legislatures across the country are making it harder to vote, and Ohio is no exception. I encourage everyone to check their voter file online or by calling your local Board of Elections to make sure you are registered. Election Day is November 2nd, and it is important that you exercise your right to vote. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. once said, "Our lives begin to end the day we become silent about the things that matter." Your voice is your vote, and don't let it be silenced. And with that, I want to say congratulations to the Dayton NAACP on another successful and impactful year and another successful Freedom Fund banquet. Thank you.
We've heard some powerful messages so far from leaders in our community, and there are many more to come on the Dayton Unit NAACP 70th Annual Freedom Fund Special.
Up next, we hear from the president of the Dayton Unit NAACP, the Honorable Dr. Derek L. Ford.
Welcome back to the Dayton Unit NAACP 70th Annual Freedom Fund Special, moving forward by design.
Next, we hear from Stephen Van Gorder, owner of SVG Motors, as he introduces you to the president of the Dayton Unit NAACP, the Honorable Dr. Derek L. Ford.
Derek and I have known each other for more than 20 years. We first met when I was at my previous employ, and he asked me to serve as honorary chair for this auspicious event. We met again when he was in a leadership role with Speedway, encouraging employers in the Dayton area to sample their breakfast sandwiches. And I gotta tell you, he would not take no for an answer. You know, although we don't always agree, I'm a Vikings fan and he's a Raiders fan. I admire his tenacity and his drive. I knew there was something special about this dude. Derek is focused and acts with purpose and intent to make the most of himself and to be a true blessing to our community. Derek is a true leader, not afraid to take on challenging issues with courage, respect, and integrity. Through the years, I've witnessed his deep faith in Christ and admire his strength of character. It is my honor to introduce to you one of my closest friends, the Honorable Dr. Derek L. Ford.
Thank you, Steve, for that kind and generous introduction. But don't forget 1977 when the Raiders ousted those Minnesota Vikings 32-14. But on a serious note, I appreciate the introduction, and one thing about our friendship, it goes deep, because at the end of the day, the last event that my wife and I attended was when I was in your wedding in 2019. For that, I'll be forever grateful. This historic Freedom Fund Awards event could not have been possible without the unwavering support of our honorary chairs. The belief you have in civil and human rights is remarkable. So with that said, this first award is an award of honor, being presented to Michael M. Parks in recognition for being an amazing honorary chairperson. You are a first-class business executive and a blessing to our community. Welcome to the 100-year-old club, the Dayton Foundation. Not too many businesses in the Dayton region has achieved this milestone. Keep moving forward by design.
Thank you, Derek. The Dayton Foundation is so proud to support and serve as co-chair of the NAACP's 70th Annual Freedom Fund Awards. Driven by the same principles of equality and justice, the Dayton Foundation and the NAACP have more than 200 combined years of organizational efforts to support these ideals. To share more on the efforts at work today, I've asked to join me Brian Martin, Executive Director of the Miami Valley Regional Planning Commission and the lead partner in the Institute for Livable and Equitable Communities, Joshua Johnson, past President and Emeritus Board Member for the African American Community Fund, and William Gillespie, a Dayton Foundation Governing Board Member and Co-Chair of the Commission on Minority Inclusion.
One of our community's most recent and promising efforts is the Institute for Livable and Equitable Communities, which was launched by the Miami Valley Regional Planning Commission in partnership with the Dayton Foundation, Learn to Earn Dayton, and other key stakeholders. Specifically focused on equity, the Institute is coordinating efforts to help launch programs that transform systems and create an environment where people of all ages, races, incomes, and abilities can thrive. We're still in the early phases. However, we anticipate the work accomplished will be transformative in our community. Thank you to the Dayton Foundation for your help in convening engaged and committed partners who embrace equity in all parts of our community.
Earlier this year, we lost a leader in the fight for equality and justice for all when John E. Moore Sr. passed away. Like many in our community, I deeply respected John for his lifelong commitment to volunteerism and standing up for the rights of others. Among his many leadership efforts, he served as the Foundation's first African American governing board member and its first African American board chair. But his commitment to the Foundation's mission and to our community continued until he passed in January, just shy of his 98th birthday. I am so proud to have previously served as president of the African American Community Fund of the Dayton Foundation. John co-founded AACF in 1992 with then fellow board member Lloyd E. Lewis. Thanks to their foresight, the fund has grown to more than 200 separate funds for individuals and families to create a better future for our region's African American population.
The strength of our community lies in the diversity of its people. Like Joshua, I too was blessed to have known and have be mentored by John Moore. One of many leadership efforts spearheaded by Mr. Moore was the Dayton Foundation's Diversity Task Force in 1999, which today has evolved into the Commission on Minority Inclusion. I'm very proud to serve alongside Brother Ray Fitz as co-chair of the commission, which has further evolved into bringing about systemic changes through added initiatives. We're seeing more businesses, institutions, and individuals recognize the importance of diversity. However, challenges still remain to move from recognition into action so that we, along with the Dayton chapter of the NAACP, can continue to work to change the current equity and inclusion landscape in our community.
The Dayton Foundation is committed to assisting the NAACP and encouraging others to become active voices in our community and enact change. Congratulations again on the 70th Freedom Fund Awards.
And the second award of honor is being presented to my friend, the remarkable leader of WDTN TV2 and WBDT TV, Joe Ablazed. In recognition of being an amazing honorary chairperson, you are a first-class business executive and a blessing to our community. Continue to keep Channel 2 and the CW moving forward by design. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Forward. What an honor it is to receive the Award of Honor and Lifetime Membership Award from the Dayton unit of the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, otherwise known as the NAACP. Here at WDTN and Dayton CW, we are proud to support the important work the Dayton unit of the NAACP does in our community, helping to ensure the political, educational, social, and economic quality of rights of all people and working to eliminate racial hatred and discrimination. That mission is important not only to WDTN and Dayton CW, but also to our parent company, Nexstar. The entire Nexstar nation strives to foster a culture of diversity and inclusion. That's why in 2020, Nexstar launched our Diversity and Inclusion Council. It's a committee dedicated to creating a path towards a more inclusive and diverse workplace. We have also implemented employee resource groups designed to bring people together who share similar cultures, backgrounds, and interests, as well as those who wish to provide support. Like the NAACP, Nexstar embraces the communities in which we operate, assisting through service on nonprofit boards, sponsorships of community events, and by giving back in many other ways. We also take great pride in our many special programs and campaigns recognizing diverse members of our community. Each year, during Black History Month, WDTN and our sister stations around the country share stories about the impact of Black history in our nation. Last year's theme was "And Still We Rise," based on the Maya Angelou book of poems, "And Still I Rise." Angelou's work is centered on the hopeful determination to rise above difficulty and discouragement. This is a focus like the theme of this year's NAACP Freedom Fund Awards, Moving Forward by Design. With the help of wonderful organizations, such as the Dayton chapter of the NAACP, people and institutions will continue to rise from adversity and succeed. Black entrepreneurs, innovators, educators, and community leaders will have new opportunities for personal advancement. Here at WDTN and Dayton CW, we are proud to be the media sponsor of the 70th Annual Dayton Unit NAACP Freedom Fund Awards, and we wish to extend our sincere congratulations to all of the show's winners and honorees for their important service to our community.
What a wonderful honor for our general manager here at WDTN, WBDT, Joe Abuzed.
Coming up next on the NAACP 70th Annual Freedom Fund Special, Moving Forward by Design, we honor the new life members. Welcome back to the Dayton Unit NAACP 70th Annual Freedom Fund Special, Moving Forward by Design.
Next, we honor the newest life members of the organization and let you know how you can become one too.
Hello everyone. As you will notice, our new Silver Life members rolling on the screen. You can be a life member too. It just takes the swipe of a credit card or the signing of a check. When you're a member of the NAACP, you'll join a network of activists standing up to injustice, fighting back against systemic racism, and developing a new generation of leaders. Youth and young adults encouragement is one of our premier Game Changers initiatives. We work to advocate for elections free of barriers for eligible voters so that all communities are included. We continue to advocate for smarter result-based criminal justice policies. These are just a few areas you can work on as well when you join the NAACP. When we fight, we win and create a real and lasting change for all people.
Hello, my name is Tanea Bailey, and I'm the president of the Dayton NAACP Youth Council. Thank you for joining us at the NAACP 70th Freedom Fund Award Show. As we struggle living through a pandemic, we youth are here moving forward, trying to get new active members. We need to create the world we want to live in and sculpt the next generation of leaders into productive members of society. We really encourage adults to lead your children, grandchildren, nieces, and nephews to our growing organization. I would also like to take this opportunity to commemorate the life of our forever beloved advisor, the late Miss Carolyn Perkins. She was one of the biggest advocates for the youth, constantly out making moves for our benefit. She will never be forgotten, and we will always reminisce our memorable times together. She will want us to be out doing the work that she did and really putting our all into any and everything we do in our lifetime. Ms. Perkins was also very passionate about the importance of voting and encouraged all citizens to vote. Therefore, we should all come together and vote November 2nd, 2021, and remember how important all of our voices are in democracy.
Hello, my name is LaDonna Hayes, and I'm the president of the Little John Jr. Youth Council. Our theme this year is titled Moving Forward by Design. Our local unit has been changed agents in the Dayton community for more than 106 years. Under the leadership of Dr. Derek L. Ford, our unit has been working with 20 different law enforcement agencies throughout the Dayton region to implement criminal justice reform and to advocate for police accountability. Derek Chauvin has been held accountable for the killing of George Floyd. Derek being held accountable means so much to me because this can spark a change and we can start getting justice more often. When I grow up, I want to be an anesthesiologist, and on my way back from work, I don't want to worry about dying because of the color of my skin. In conclusion, I would like to remind everyone to exercise the right to vote on November 2nd.
On January 6, 2021, which ironically happens to be my birthday, our United States Capitol was attacked by insurrectionists. This event had hijacked and it scarred the lives of many Americans, reminding us that hate and racism thrives in our country. And so as I sat in outrage watching this event unfold on national television, I was reminded of these powerful words from the late John Lewis. A democracy cannot thrive where power remains unchecked and justice is reserved for a select few. And ignoring these cries and failing to respond to this movement is simply not an option, for peace cannot exist where justice is not served. And so often we forget that we are standing on the shoulders of giants. And that's why our theme this year is so prevalent, moving forward by design. And our president, Dr. Derek L. Forward's motto is so compelling. Our success is influenced by your actions. So do your part by voting on November 2nd.
Hello, I am Axo. I am a senior at Stavros School for the Arts in Dayton, Ohio. The NAACP AXO program is a youth talent program that I have been involved with for a year. AXO gave me an opportunity to use my talents to compete for local and national medals. I aspired to be a visual artist, so I competed in drawing and earned a local gold medal through the Dayton NAACP AXO program. I also competed nationally during the NAACP 43rd annual AXO competition. I encourage you to join AXO so you too can go for the gold.
It is so great to see young people doing great things like that in the community.
Still ahead on the NAACP's 70th Annual Freedom Fund Awards, honoring even more local youth, the announcement of this year's Scholarship Award recipients. Welcome back to the Dayton Unit NAACP's 70th Annual Freedom Fund Awards special. Next up, we have some big news for local students.
That's right. Willie A. Terrell Jr., chair of the Scholarship Committee, is announcing the Scholarship Award recipients.
Since 2003, the Dayton Unit NAACP have awarded over $77,000 in scholarships. We have always supported our fantastic youth throughout Montgomery County, Ohio. You can see the 2021-2022 scholarship recipients scrolling across the screen. You will see the names of the schools they attend or attended, and the college or university they will continue their education or have already enrolled in the past. The students who have not graduated from high school will receive their scholarship award when they provide all the required documents and will receive their awards during our July 2022 general membership meeting. The students who have already enrolled at college will receive their awards very soon. I'd like to thank all our supporters for making our scholarship program a very great success. May God continue to bless all of you.
And the winner is Attorney Michael L. Wright, in recognition of the stellar legal services you render to citizens seeking justice. You have demonstrated excellence in your profession as evidenced by your membership in the multi-million-dollar advocate forum, which fewer than 1% of U.S. lawyers are members. Your work and public service has been highlighted across the Dayton region and abroad. Your volunteer service and career will leave an indelible mark on our community and your industry for many years to come. Do justice, love mercy, walk humbly with your God.
And Attorney Wright, on behalf of the Dayton Unit NAACP, we appreciate what you do inside of our community. Whether or not it's us working together on John Crawford case or Dante Martin, you continue to fight for families in every single way. Thank you.
Thank you. This is such a tremendous award, and I'm honored to receive it.
I would like to thank President Derek Ford and the Dayton unit of the NAACP for all the great work you do and for recognizing me. I, along with the Dayton unit of the NAACP, will continue to work hard to serve our community. Thank you.
This year, I am honored to present 2 President's Awards to a set of twins who came into this world together, one after the other, Ozell and Lovell Forward, a man among men, for your inspiring, motivating, and encouraging words of wisdom. You have stood loyally by my side, not wavering, but encouraging me to stand strong through the winds of persecution and the chains of adversity. The Lord directed your steps to serve as a conduit of valor and integrity during the transition of my beloved father, Elder Dr. Alfonso Forward Sr., your eldest brother. You serve your country with distinction in the United States Army and have demonstrated to your family the true meaning of work ethic. You are amazing twins to the end. Continue to move forward by design. Uncle Ozell, I love you very much. Uncle Lovell, I love you very much. Love you too. And to God be the glory.
Congratulations to all the scholarship recipients and award winners.
Coming up next on the Dayton Unit NAACP 70th Annual Freedom Fund Awards Special, we hear from the keynote speaker, the Honorable Rabbi Jonah Dov Pesner. Welcome back to the Dayton Unit NAACP 70th Annual Freedom Fund Awards.
Now it's time to introduce our keynote speaker, Tom Roberts, Vice President of the Dayton Unit NAACP. He's doing the honors.
Rabbi Jonah Dov Pesner serves as the Director of the Religious Action Center of Reform Judaism since 2015. Pesner is also the Senior Vice President of the Union for Reform Judaism, appointed in 2011. He is a member of the NAACP National Board of Directors. Pesner was named as one of the most influential rabbis in America by Newsweek magazine. He is married to Dana S. Kirshen, an attorney, and has 4 daughters. He is an inspirational leader and a tireless advocate for social justice. It is my honor to introduce to you the Honorable Rabbi Jonah Dov Pesner.
Shalom uvracha, peace and blessings upon you, my Dayton NAACP family. I am Rabbi Jonah Pesner, the Director of the Religious Action Center of Reform Judaism, the largest and most diverse denomination in Jewish life. It is my privilege to be with you this morning, my NAACP family. I love you. I wish I could be with you in person, but so glad to be with you in spirit as we celebrate the work of the nation's largest and oldest civil rights organization. I am proud to sit as a national board member of the NAACP. I am proud to be a friend of Dr. Derek Forward, your president and leader. We have sat together at meetings of the NAACP. He's heard me preach, and I feel honored that he called me to your pulpit, to your gala, to your celebration of racial justice and civil rights for all people. As you in the Dayton community of the NAACP and beyond, to all of your allies and your community, model for 106 years what it is to be for civil rights and social justice for all people everywhere. I'm honored to be with you this morning, and I'm most grateful. I'm particularly moved, Dayton and the NAACP, by the work that you have done with criminal justice reform, with police accountability, with ensuring that our systems of justice, reflect the enduring values, the aspirations of our nation, and certainly of our shared faith traditions. I'm deeply moved by the work that you have done to create economic opportunity and health care for all people, centering racial justice and the lives of people of color, but making sure that we are a community that is loving and inclusive for all people everywhere. Thank you for the work you are doing in Dayton. Thank you for the work you are doing in Ohio. and thank you for the work you are doing to transform America from the country that it is, still plagued with 400 years of systemic oppression and systemic racism, to the country that we know it can be, one that is truly inclusive and loving and a democracy representing all people. That's your work, NAACP family, and I'm honored to be your partner in it. In fact, our Reform Jewish movement in Ohio, the Religious Action Center of Reform Judaism in Ohio, is proud to be in coalition with the NAACP and to work together with you on issues of maintaining voting rights, working on criminal justice reform, and making sure that folks have healthcare access. And we'll continue to partner with you on those issues. So right about now, some of you in my NAACP family in Dayton might be asking, what is a white Jewish rabbi like him doing at a gala like this? Well, first of all, I have to tell you, I'm not the first white Jewish rabbi to speak to the NAACP Dayton branch. My predecessor at the Religious Action Center here in Washington, Rabbi David Saperstein, also formerly on the board of the NAACP National, was your speaker a few years back. And so, Dr. Derek Forward, thank you for being truly inclusive and loving to your Jewish family, which, as you know, marches with you in the footsteps of those who came before us in the pursuit of justice. It's my pleasure now to take up that mantle. And I wouldn't be here if not only it were for Rabbi Saperstein, but also for an incredible hero of the NAACP, a white Jewish man named Kivi Kaplan, who was actually the last white Jewish president of the NAACP, who served with distinction in the 60s and 70s. Kivi was the founder of the Religious Action Center of Reform Judaism in Washington, and he had his awakening as a Jewish person living in America, the descendant of immigrants to this country who came here with nothing and who worked hard and created a business and became very successful, and then very philanthropic as he wanted to give back. But his philanthropy was defined by his experience as a young white Jewish man on his honeymoon in Florida with his new wife, Emily. And as they were driven around in a taxi driven by a black taxi driver, they kept seeing the same sign over and over again that they had never experienced coming from the Northeast as they did. And that sign said, "No Jews, no dogs." They turned to the black taxi driver and said, "Is this common down here?" And he looked at them and said, "They don't even bother with us." It was at that moment that Kivi Kaplan understood the intersectionality of oppression, that if you oppress one minority, you oppress all minorities. And though he had benefited as the descendant of immigrants from his white privilege and ability to succeed in America, the anti-Semitism, the anti-black racism, the other forms of bigotry and hate that plague our country impact all of us. And then until one of us as an oppressed minority are free, then none of us as oppressed minorities are free. And so it was that he became deeply involved in NAACP. In fact, all of you who are life members, that program was started under Kivi Kaplan's watch. It was a great legacy of his. I am a life member of the NAACP, and I hope all of you will be as well. The other thing that he did, he donated to the Reform Jewish movement a building on DuPont Circle, an embassy-sized building, and he gave it to his Jewish family, but under one condition. He said, "You can have this gift, but only if you promise to use it to be a hub for the civil rights movement in America." Now remember, folks, this was during Jim Crow. It's not like Dr. King had an office in Washington. And so it was that the first director of our Religious Action Center of Reform Judaism in Washington, D.C., Rabbi Dick Hirsch, who marched in the Edmund Pettus Bridge with Dr. King, in his first act as director of our center, called his friend Martin and said, "You now have an office in Washington." And he invited the luminaries of the civil rights movement, the Leadership Conference, and others to use our offices as their place of meeting and doing business, which is why it is that a Reformed Jewish institution in Washington, the Civil Rights Act of 1964 and the Voting Rights Act of 1965 were drafted in our conference room. There is a plaque just across the hall from my office that attests to that fact. There's a legend that if the walls could talk and tell the secrets of the luminaries of the civil rights movement, what they knew and what they saw, the incredible stories that would be revealed. It was then my pleasure to be called in 2014 to be the director of the center, which had spent the last 60 years in every important coalition with the NAACP, with the Leadership Conference for Civil Rights, and an array of civil rights groups fighting for full equality for all people, to challenge the United States to live up to its full potential as an inclusive democracy. But think about it, in 2014, when I came into leadership at the Religious Action Center, our beloved Voting Rights Act of 1965 had been eviscerated in a heinous Supreme Court ruling called Shelby v. Holder, which, in an incredibly, in my humble opinion, poorly thought out opinion by the majority, Justice Roberts, whose logic in essence was, well, the Voting Rights Act, things are better now. We don't need things like preclearance, which was the historic, important way in which states with historic voter suppression could not actually change their voting rules without the Department of Justice preclearing them. Of course, the famous Ruth Bader Ginsburg famously said in her dissent that the logic of the majority was like standing in a rainstorm underneath an umbrella and saying, gee, I guess I don't need my umbrella anymore because I'm not getting wet, and throwing the umbrella aside. And friends, what happened? State after state after state, starting in 2013, rolled back voting rights, immediately passed voter suppression laws. One such law in North Carolina, which became an epicenter of voter suppression, a federal court threw out, calling it racist with surgical precision. Friends, we saw across our country attempts to keep some people from the ballot, disproportionately targeting communities of color, black folks, older folks, young folks, people who had historically been kept out of the polls. Racist with surgical precision. And within months of my appointment to the director of the Religious Action Center of Reform Judaism, Michael Brown was killed in the streets of Ferguson, and Freddie Gray, and Tamir Rice, and Sandra Bland. More names than I can recite, more souls than we can account for. As a communal collective cry called out, Black Lives Matter. And so this majority white Jewish organization led by this white Jewish rabbi had to ask ourselves, what is the legacy of the 60 years of civil rights that we have been pursuing together, the NAACP, the Reform Jewish Movement, and our civil rights allies? What does it mean that Goodman, Cheney, and Schwerner, two white Jewish men and a young black Christian man, gave their lives in Mississippi's summer trying to register voters and protect the right to vote? What does it mean in the era of Black Lives Matter? And then we saw in the election of 2016 the normalization of rhetoric and policy deeply racist and bigoted, in which people who are immigrants, people who are black and brown, became criminalized, not only through rhetoric, but also through policies. And we saw in the streets of Charlottesville the modern-day Klan marching with their torches, saying Jews will not replace us. A chilling and dangerously violent example of what Kivi Kaplan understood. No Jews, no dogs, they don't even bother with us. That morning in Charlottesville, 3 of those tiki torch bearing goons stood outside the local synagogue with semi-automatic rifles. And that was just the beginning of this rise of violent, anti-black, anti-Jewish, xenophobic hatred of Muslims and brown people and immigrants and all people. Tree of Life, a shooting in which my white Jewish family was massacred by a white supremacist who attacked that synagogue because they were a highest congregation, the Hebrew Immigrant Aid Society, that were fighting to welcome refugees, mostly black and brown refugees, and resettle them in this country. And of course, the shooting at the Tree of Life happened just days after there was a shooting at a Kroger's grocery store of 2 black people who were murdered. And why? Because the church that the shooter had tried to break into was locked. And that church locked its doors because sometime earlier at Mother Emanuel in South Carolina had been targeted, and many of our black worshipers were murdered in the middle of their prayers. No Jews, no dogs. They don't even bother with us. And COVID revealed the brutal inequality in our society. even after 4 years of bigoted rhetoric and bigoted policy, COVID, which disproportionately massacred Black and brown people, working people, frontline essential workers, low-income people, brutally revealing the systems of inequality and unfairness that endure in America. And then, January 6th, two things happened on January 6th in our country. On the one hand, the state of Georgia elected a white Jewish kid who had become bar mitzvah at the temple in Atlanta, the site of the bombing by the Ku Klux Klan of the historic Jewish synagogue, where Rabbi Rothschild was targeted by the Klan because he marched with King and was an activist for civil rights, and whose sister church was Ebenezer Baptist Church, King's Church, which now was led by Reverend Warnock, who became the other senator from the great state of Georgia, electing the first Black and first Jewish senators from Georgia in American history, proving that all of that work to turn out votes, to protect democracy, meant that change could happen and redemption could come. But that day and that sweet victory of a Black and a Jewish senator from Georgia being elected was nearly destroyed by a white supremacist, Confederate flag waving, insidious mob rioting, committing sedition at the United States Capitol, the sacred temple of our democracy. And they wore articles of clothing of the Confederacy and their flags, and also Camp Auschwitz t-shirts. These are racist, Islamophobic, anti-Semitic, bigoted thugs who tried to take over our capital and whose behavior is now being normalized by some. We saw how fragile democracy is, how brutal white supremacy, when it tries to maintain its power and its authority, can be. And amidst all of the terror and the fear of that act of violence, state by state by state, more legislatures are attempting to pass voter suppression laws. And so I ask you, my NAACP family, will we live on the nostalgia of Goodman and Cheney and Schwerner, of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and Rabbi Abraham Joshua Heschel, who marched for voting rights, who marched alongside of Congressman John Lewis, who had his head bashed in on the Edmund Pettus Bridge, protecting our democracy? Will that legacy be nostalgia, or it will be a call to action for us, for the risks that we have to take, for the work that we have to do, that has to happen in Dayton, Ohio, in every community, in every state across these United States? Because Ohio, like every other state, is attempting to roll back voting rights for some people, because as Reverend Warnock likes to say, some people don't want some people to have the right to vote. In this era of George Floyd's lynching by law enforcement, and Breonna Taylor, and so many more, even 5 years after Michael Brown, we ask ourselves, how many will die? How many of our family will we lose until we finally overthrow the systems of oppression? When we finally confront the 400 years of systemic racism that we can trace from slavery through Jim Crow, through what became the new Jim Crow, mass incarceration, where 1 in 3 Black men in America become incarcerated, whereas 1 in 17 white men, where 2 million people are incarcerated at any given time, many of whom lose their right to vote and are stripped of all agency and capacity to be active members of the community, to build a business, to have a family, to move forward in their lives. How will we finally throw off those 400 years of systemic racism and the intersectionality of oppression that winds up oppressing all folks in marginalized communities? This white Jewish rabbi, in the spirit of Kivi Kaplan, having seen what took place in Charlottesville, where they chanted, "Jews will not replace us," having seen what happened at Mother Emanuel Church, where they gunned down Black Christians in worship, where we've seen what happened in Tree of Life, when we saw what happened in our nation's capital on January 6th, this white Jewish rabbi is here to say, our safety is in our solidarity and our redemption as a nation to finally realize the promise of its articulated values, of its aspirations to be a fully inclusive democracy. Our redemption will come through that democracy, but only when every voice is heard, because every vote is counted. When we say that Black lives really do matter, that Black votes really do matter, that all people in our communities, in our congregations, in our schools, in our neighborhoods can live safely and freely, can have a fair shot at economic opportunity and a just cause in a criminal justice system, and whose democracy, whose elected officials represent them, represent all of us. So I love you, my NAACP Dayton branch family. Dr. Derek Forward, lead on, forward with forward. May you and all those whom you love, may all the leaders of the NAACP Dayton branch, may all the good people of Dayton, may all those who seek justice across Ohio, may all the people of the United States of America who will join us in this mass movement for racial justice and full equity for all people be blessed with God's love, God's kindness, and God's goodness. For together we can fulfill the vision of the prophet to do justice, to love mercy, and to walk humbly with our God. Amen. May God bless you, and may God bless the NAACP.
What a moving message from Rabbi Jonah Dove Pesner.
Next up, we have some more big awards, and we'll hear from the president of the Dayton Unit NAACP, Dr. Derek L. Forward.
We sure have honored a lot of people who are making big differences in our community. And now it's time for more honors and a special message from the president of the Dayton Unit NAACP, Dr. Derek L. Forward.
Whoa, what a powerful speech delivered by the Honorable Rabbi Jonah Dove Pesner at a time when the world continues to grapple with issues related to criminal justice reform and police accountability, fair maps, and a rise in COVID-19 cases, school-to-prison pipeline, economic equity, and youth development. Your message has left rich deposits in the lives of thousands of Americans throughout the Dayton region, thereby moving us forward by design. Because of your remarkable leadership, I am honored to present you with this Keynote Speaker Award, and it reads as follows. This award is being presented to the Honorable Rabbi Jonah Dove Pesner in recognition of your innovative and pioneering and courageous leadership, which has held countless citizens of these United States of America accountable for their actions, especially as it relates to social, civil, and human rights issues. Continue to lead with energy, enthusiasm, and passion. We commend you for your many years of uncompromising advocacy as a champion for civil and human rights. We salute you, Rabbi Pesner.
You know, I woke up this morning knowing something amazing was going to happen.
Oh, I know that feeling. Are you referring to the Freedom Fund banquet hostesses?
Yes.
Claire, did you know these two women are known to be classy and phenomenal? Can we say hostess with the mostest? We have the honor of recognizing both phenomenal women. The plaque reads the Dayton Unit NAACP 70th Annual Freedom Fund Awards.
Award of Excellence presented to Kiana Deitches, multimedia journalist, WDTN TV2.
And to Aaliyah T. Williamson, weekend anchor, multimedia journalist, WDTN TV2, for recognition for being an amazing host.
A woman of elegance, character, and resilience.
Because you both are women moving forward by design.
Congratulations, Kiana Deitches and Aaliyah Williamson.
Secretary Thompson and Assistant Secretary Williams, thank you so much for those awards of excellence.
We are honored to receive the recognitions, and we are so honored to host the 70th Annual Freedom Fund Awards.
Hey Lou, the honorable one, what do you think about our 70th annual award show this year with our theme titled Moving Forward by Design?
Well, Dr. Forward, let me just tell you, I think this year's awards program was fantastic. I don't think it can be beat.
Yes, ma'am. And what should you remind people to do on November 2nd, 2021?
Well, let me tell you, my personal opinion, I think everybody should get out and vote, and please get vaccinated.
Vote, you gotta do it.